You assume there is a clear border between you and the one who sustains all things. You speak from a center you call I and relate to a source you call God. The arrangement feels obvious. Yet Ibn Arabi challenged the premise. He asked whether this border is anything more than a habit of thought. If everything that exists depends on the real for its very being, where could an autonomous I begin? You test the border with attention. A border with attention. You try to find the place where your ownership starts. Each time you locate it, it moves. The question becomes simple and exact. When you look for the edge of yourself in direct awareness, do you find a boundary or only the ongoing fact of being? You examine your certainty. You claim thoughts as yours, but you do not choose their arrival. You claim decisions as yours, yet every option is shaped by conditions you did not set. You claim attention as yours, but attention wanders without permission. Doubt grows not about existence, but about ownership. If control is partial, is the I more than a story that arranges events after they occur? You do not deny responsibility. You question authorship. The doubt is clarifying. It does not cancel action. It exposes the claim beneath it. If your agency is a function within a wider logic, then what is this you beyond a useful designation? What remains of the self once the claim of independent origin is set aside? Ibn Arabi lived in 12th and 13th century Andalusia and the Islamic East, where rigorous argument and direct realization often competed for authority. Philosophers analyzed categories. Theologians guarded doctrine. Mystics investigated immediate awareness. Ibn Arabi did not reject reason. He used it to recognize its limit. He spoke of Wadad al-Wujud not as a slogan, but as a disciplined seeing of dependence. For him, the real is the ground of every existence, and multiplicity is the way that ground appears. He did not erase distinction. He corrected its status. He asked his readers to inquire, not merely to repeat. In that inquiry, a precise problem emerges. What is the self when separated from the assumption of self-sufficiency? According to Ibn Arabi, being is one in source and various in manifestation. The human person is a site where this being becomes knowable in a particular arrangement. The I designates a locus, not an origin. Individuality is real as a relation, not as an independent substance. You can describe, measure, and evaluate persons, but the power that lets description, measurement, and evaluation occur is not created by the person. Thus, the question, where does the self end and God begin, loses its spatial feel and becomes logical. There is no place where one reality stops and another reality starts. There is a shift of perspective within the same reality. If this is accurate, then the task is not crossing a distance, but correcting a definition. You resist. You feel that giving up independence will erase meaning and weaken resolve. You equate surrender with passivity. Yet observe closely. Clinging to independence produces anxiety, not strength. The mind must defend a position it cannot prove. You carry the weight of authorship and fear failure as a private loss. The conflict is internal and conceptual. Either you are an isolated center maintaining itself, or you are a participant in a larger intelligence. If participation is true, you do not lose the ability to choose. You lose the illusion that choice originates from a private source. The conflict shifts. Do you prefer a self built on strain, or a self understood as cooperation with what already sustains you? Ibn Arabi explained that realization does not abolish human distinctness. it clarifies its grounding. Servanthood, for him, is not subordination to an external ruler, but alignment with the fact that the real alone truly is. In this alignment, action remains, ethics remains, accountability remains. What changes is the framework. Agency is recognized as delegated, not absolute. The language of mind becomes functional rather than metaphysical. You still say, my judgment and my promise, but you know these expressions point to a trust placed in you, not a power generated by you. The shift is quiet and exact, from ownership to stewardship. In this light, what does responsibility become when it is no longer a defense of a separate self? You watch awareness itself. Before any belief, there is knowing that you are. Concepts move within it. Identities rise and fall within it. This simple being is not produced by thought. It enables thought. Ibn Arabi called this witnessing, the recognition that the knower, the known, and the act of knowing meet as one event within the real. You do not merge with something outside you. You cease dividing what was never split. Distinction remains as function, not as separation. The self becomes transparent to its ground. In that transparency, effort loosens its grip, and clarity appears without drama. A quiet fact stands. Existence is present, and you are present as its address. What is left to defend when presence is already complete? Ibn Arabi's teaching settles into a stable view. The boundary you sought was the artifact of a concept that mistook labeling for dividing. When labeling relaxes, a plain recognition remains. You are not an absolute center, nor a disposable fragment. You are a relation through which the real becomes intelligible at this point. Stillness here is not withdrawal. It is the end of internal argument. Without the project of proving yourself independent, attention is free for discernment. You can examine motives, keep promises, and correct errors without the fear that correction diminishes your being. Clarity proves practical. Truth does not compete with you. It supports you. If the real is nearer than any claim you can make, why keep claiming? You ask how to live this insight. Begin with honest attribution. When understanding arises, acknowledge its source as the wider intelligence that sustains you. When strength appears, treat it as a trust, not a trophy. When confusion returns, do not dramatize. Return to the fact of being and act from what you can see now. Ibn Arabi insisted that realization refines conduct. Humility becomes accurate self-knowledge, not performance. Gratitude becomes recognition of dependence, not sentiment. Prayer becomes alignment, not negotiation. Ethics becomes the art of honoring the real in every relation. You still plan, choose, and work, but you know what lends weight to every plan, choice, and task. What is success now, except fidelity to what is most true? Ibn Arabi would ask you to look once more at the opening question. Where does the self end and God begin? The form of the question assumes two independent domains. The inquiry has shown that the domains are not parallel realities, but one reality seen under two descriptions: the real in itself, and the real as disclosed in you. The self ends as an absolute claim and begins as a relational fact. God does not begin. God is the ground in which the question appears. The correction is subtle but decisive. You are not invited to collapse distinctions. You are invited to see their status. If the ground is one, what exactly are you protecting when you defend a separate edge? You return to the start with a different posture. You once sought a border to secure identity. You now see that identity is secure as participation, not as isolation. Ibn Arabi's inquiry has done its work. It has removed an unnecessary distance. You are distinct without being divided. You are responsible without being separate. The self ends where the claim of self-sufficiency ends. God does not begin anywhere because nothing falls outside the source. What remains is a quiet discipline. Act with accuracy, speak with care, remember dependence, and witness the single fact of being in every moment. The question that opened the journey now rests as understanding. There were never two realities to join, only one to recognize.